temptation. Temptation is something that's attractive, that tempts you, to me, like something that you think about that you really shouldn't think about, at least how it's presented. Honestly, it was an idea that came about very sporadically. It was something that I felt, for the first time, I felt like a fire inside myself. When I thought of the idea, I was just finishing my painting of Venus. I had this image of, a woman and a woman behind her in a very like sensual way and like a blurred out way. And I love the idea of drinking with it, and how, at least for me, whenever I drink whenever I see people drink, it's blurred, and it's blurred, but it's also very honest and very raw, because it's almost like the truth comes out when you relax into yourself. At least for me, that's usually what happens. And I think that with that, temptation becomes harder to resist, and the thoughts become harder to suppress. It's like they all boil into each other. It's like they all like come up, and that's just kind of how I've experienced temptation. But I wanted to do it with two women because I don't see the representation as much in the arts in like a very sensual way. I didn't want it to be erotic. I didn't want it to be presented as erotic. I see it more as like a narrative storytelling, figurative narrative painting that expresses temptation and desire. Just desire. I maybe should have named it Desire. It was actually one of the quickest paintings I ever did. I did not expect the response that I got from the quick video I put on TikTok. That I did not expect that at all. And I'm so grateful, because the reason that I created it, I create everything that I connect to, and whenever it connects with other people, it means so much more whenever it can connect on that level. But somebody asked me recently why I left out like the faces of the women, and the reason behind that, or some of the face and of the figure in the back, the reason that I left it out was I want you to connect with the emotions, and I want you to connect with that feeling you get when you first view it. Depending on who views it, if you've experienced something like it, I want it to connect. I want the feelings to speak for themselves, and I just don't think a face is relatively like important in that regard. It's merely just about the body language and how we can speak through our bodies. And yeah. Why red wine? Why red wine? Red wine, everyone knows that red wine is better than white wine. That's all. Temptation can't be ignored. I think we can ignore temptation. Definitely, we choose whether or not to engage in temptation. There's a fine line between healthy and unhealthy. But I think I kind of wanted to open up a more raw version of myself that hasn't really gotten the chance to present herself yet. So this series is gonna be more of like, I'm gonna name it, I believe I'm kind of coming up with a name now. I think it's gonna be called Interludes, because an interlude is a pause. It's a blip in reality, in a way. It's just like, whenever you look at one of these, I want you to just take a moment, and it just like takes you out of reality, whatever you might be experiencing. If it can live in your space and be a blip out of your whatever conditioned thing you're thinking about, I'll feel like it was a success. about.